Reddit, what was the biggest sexual scandal at your school? Some girl gave a guy head for $2.50 to buy an iced coffee. The superintendent made a surprise visit and caught two teachers having sex in an empty classroom. Large high school in low-income Los Angeles metropolitan area. Lots of gang members activity. Dude affiliated with the Crips got caught sucking a D in the bathroom. On a band trip to the Bahamas, our band went on extravagant trips. A girl got told by the operators of a parasailing boat that they'd let her go for free if she did it naked. So she did. She was 15. That was a whole world of it. Youngish unattractive music teacher slept with a minor. His wife was extremely ill and apparently on her deathbed. He had convinced the minor that they'd get married when she died. I went to a Christian college in Alabama for a bit. There were a number of girls who after getting a boyfriend would mysteriously acquire odd cravings and mood swings and might even gain some weight. Taking a couple of weeks off to spend with their families to pray and relax usually resolved the problem. Funnily enough. 2 years ago, two of the mentally challenged students were found having sex behind the gym. Only reason the teachers found out was because she was 17 and he was 13 and he bragged about it a bunch. A girl filmed herself getting eaten out by her dog on her phone. She lent her phone to a friend who then passed the video around a few people. Luckily for her, the school found out and managed to delete every copy of the video. Surprisingly, this didn't ruin her life. A couple of days later, everyone had basically forgotten aside from a few comments. College. Professor had an affair with one of his students. He was unstable and the student got scared. She filed a complaint which led to him being asked to resign. 2 days prior to leaving the state for another teaching position, he tracked her down and shot her 11 times in her backyard, then offered himself in a nearby hotel. I worked with both of them for a semester as an intern. It was heartbreaking. This one guy got his hands on a bunch of sex toys and decided to start an underground sex toy ring. He had some guys who would hang around the locker rooms and stairwells and shiftily ask people if they wanted to buy anything, and hand out his wannabe business cards, likely made in the art room after hours. A few guys in my gym class took his info, and the guy who handed out the cards explained that he had a bunch of butt plugs and dildos which he'd sell for $10, and some random stuff like handcuffs and vibrators for $15. He said to go to a McDonald's downtown and look for a guy with a black hoodie, aviators and a big green army duffel bag. To this day, nobody has caught the mystery McDonald's dildo man. There was this one kid at my school who was pretty good friends with the teachers and was in the ASB and student council and all that jazz. Well, he ended up getting caught having an anal sex with another student on the hood of the teacher's new 2012 Mustang. Girl in my graduating class was boning the student teacher of one of her classes while she was 17 and he was mid-20s. He got fired. They apparently got married right after she graduated, then got divorced after she graduated college. Edit. I am in Utah. IT. Teacher took his computer in for cleanup. A ton of kiddie porn was found on it. Boy, that was some fallout. Several of my teachers, all married, were ducking in some weird love dodecagon and everyone knew. The liaison was even involved. There was a rumor that the loft storage area above the stage was haunted because a group of teachers came in after hours to pick up a forgotten item and heard a sharp get out. They obviously thought it was students playing a prank, but they checked every possible hiding place and no students were located. So the teachers assumed they imagined it and left. Rumors spread that either there's a legit ghost in the auditorium or that, duh, it wasn't a ghost. And it was much more interesting to say something happened than to assume the teachers imagined a sound in a breezy auditorium. The most popular rumor was that two students were having sex and pretended to be ghosts to scare the teachers away. It was half true. The students were boning in the loft and heard the teachers come in, so they hid under a pile of stage costumes. The get out was because he was being a rethead and shoved his junk back into her junk while they were covered in nasty stage clothes. Yes, they got uties. I was the girl. Edit. Thanks for the gold. But that won't heal past me's utie. The entire football team got herpes. I went to an all-boys school, so it was already a zoo of hormones. We had a new teacher start one year, and she was mid-30s. Very pretty and easy to get along with. So combine that with the fact all the other teachers were miserable and or old. Students loved her. Her husband taught at the all-girls school across the road. And as well as this, she had a son that started at our school when she did. He was about 11 when he started. There were always the usual baseless rumors, fantasies going around that students had a fling with her. And it was always total hearsay and garbage. Until this one rumor started going round that she'd had an affair with a student. He was about 17/18. And it wouldn't go away. 2 months later, she quits, breaks it off with her husband and moves to London to live with the 17-year-old student, leaving behind her job, family and her son who had just started. Not sure what happened to her, but the school was extremely prestigious, so word never formally got out. To protect their reputation, pretty sure it was probably a step too far even for public schoolboys to bully the son about too, considering it's a really itty situation. Edit. As you Charles 10 pointed out, the guy was originally dating the teacher's eldest daughter, and then it blossomed from there apparently. Who said romance is dead? She was also the daughter of a uber pious church minister. Edit 2. After 2 minutes of googling, it turns out she's still teaching. So it was obviously kept hush hush. At my small Christian private school, one of the students hooked up with the football coach's wife. Coach got a DUI and was fired from the school. Shortly after that, the student and the wife had a kid. My 50-plus-year-old history teacher knocked up and married a 17-year-old student of his, and the school didn't do anything about it because she turned 18 while pregnant. That was their actual logic. A girl gave a guy a blowjob on the bus and got suspended. We had one girl in our high school. She was 13/14 when these two events happened, but if you mention her to anybody aged 18-25 they know who she is. First, she let a dog lick her out on a park bench. It was talked about for months until a girl in my year group videoed herself being fingered on a school laptop and an IT technician found it. Then everyone kind of forgot, treated it as a myth. Second, big Christmas party at one of the most popular guys' house in my year group. His parents were rich as duck and lived in the posh part of the town, so obviously his house was the best place to have a party because it was huge. He invited so many people that it just ended up being a massive stereotypical American party you see in the movies. Everyone was drunk as duck. This girl decides she's in love with the guy who hosted the party and wants to get his attention. So she goes to his Christmas tree, shouts "watch this," and shoves one of his mum's expensive as duck Christmas baubles up her V. Silence. The party host just covered his mouth and whispered, "Not the ducking Harrod's bauble." Even more silence. Then the bauble broke inside her V. It was the best and worst Christmas party I've ever been to. None of the staff were ever informed what happened, to our knowledge, but the lad who hosted the party had to put up with everyone asking our form tutors if we could take a school trip to Harrods for months. The girl whose nudie pictures got passed around was voted most photogenic for senior awards. This is high school. We have a band room at the end our hall. This room is usually used by the band and also their friends to chill out. The room door had a window. So one day, my friend at the time covers up the window with a piece of paper, brought his girlfriend there while cutting class. I was not there to witness it, but I've heard that they were found because his girlfriend was moaning too loud. Turns out they were having sex on a sofa in the room, and a teacher walking outside heard the noise and went to find keys. Returns with multiple teachers and staff. Opens the door and found both of them half naked, furiously trying to put clothes on. An English teacher at my school was ducking one of his 16-year-old students. The student was actually friends with his son, who was 2 years younger. After she graduated, the teacher waited a year, then divorced his wife and moved in with his girlfriend. The teacher never lost his job and no one seemed to question what had happened except for the students, who thought the entire thing was outrageous. The whole situation took place in the 80s somewhere in rural East Coast Canada. I didn't want to hear anything about homeschooling. Apparently a group of male soccer players were ducking in the locker room. This was after I graduated, but my mom worked at my high school. One of the teachers she worked directly with was caught sleeping with 2 17-year-old students. She was in her 30s with a husband and 2 young children. They were having threesomes, I guess. Pretty messed up. She threw away her whole life to bang a couple teenage football players. My high school disbanded the cheerleader squad and ruled that they would never allow them to form again after the girls were caught giving handjobs to the football players on a bus that was transporting them back to our area from an away game. It was a huge scandal, and enough people were involved that they cancelled the remainder of the football season and permanently disbanded the cheer squad. I'm still not entirely clear on how that was fair for students interested in cheerleading, given that it takes two people to get a hand job. Teacher jerking it in the gym by himself. Okay, finally one can answer. Okay, so a few grades below me in middle school, 3 kids decided to have fun in the bathroom. I don't remember all the details, but one of the kids had a parent that was a dentist. Somehow this kid got his hands on that pink numbing stuff dentists used to numb you before getting a real numbing shot. So these guys numbed their mouths in the bathroom and got caught blowing each other. Just the usual young band teacher hooking up with an 18+ senior nonsense. Nothing too out there. When I was a freshman, there was a huge fight between 2 seniors. Let's call them Steven and Oliver. Oliver won the fight, leaving Steven pretty bruised. As Steven was walking away, he shouts at Oliver that he's gonna duck his mother. Oliver brushes it off, believing that it's just post-fight banter. A few days later, a video pops up on Facebook. It's Steven ducking Oliver's crackhead mother. Oliver didn't show up for the rest of the year. We had a kid visiting our high school to decide if he should attend. He went to gym class to work out with some kids, and while he was bench pressing, another kid whipped out a dildo and hit him in the face. Right in the face. The poor kid cries in front of the whole class and the incident is deemed a sexual assault. Massive storm followed. Edit. Most liked post I've ever made, haha. Thank you dildo kid. Mid-school, 8th grade trip. There were other schools there as well. Separate male-female dormitories, but OFC we all sneaked in each other's room. Mostly harmless. Smuggling vodka and at best making out. Till one of our school's girl was found in the act with 3 different guys from another school at the same time. After that, I think almost everyone rode that bike. And that's how you lose your virginity at 14. Don't regret it, but it was odd. She was dubbed the Piranha, devourer of men. Could swear she had initiated most males from that year. In case you are wondering. No STDs. They don't tend to spontaneously appear in teenagers. Biggest sexual scandal I can remember. Oh, that and the 13-year-old girl who started dating a 24-year-old dude. They are married nowadays. She's 28, with 2 kids. Our female head teacher just vanished in the middle of term 1 year, and never came back. We eventually found out she had fallen in love with the mother of one of her son's friends. She and the other mother left their husbands and ran away together. And then it turned out she had liver cancer, and she ducking died. All within the space of about a year. It made the history teacher who had to leave after eloping with a 6th former look a bit tame in comparison. There was also the time in junior school where one of the girls, must have been about 10, started sneaking her older boyfriend, of about 12, onto school grounds in the day so she could give him blowjobs at lunch. This is going to get hella buried, but still want to share. I come from a very small town with a very small school. My graduating class was 27, but every year in our school's history since 1973 one girl in the senior class will get pregnant. No more, no less. Every year teachers have a not so secret betting pool on who the lucky lady will be. Maths teacher that got a bit too close to his adopted kids. There was a drama teacher who was young, really good looking, and everyone loved him. He looked quite a bit like Tom Cruise. Actually, he was super popular with everyone. Had a long-term GF. Lived together. Perfect life. Etc. A year or 2 after I left for uni, a news story broke and it turned out he'd been sleeping with a 15-year-old male student for ages. Weirdest part was that the kid's mum was well aware of this relationship and supported it fully. Anyway, they broke up and I guess the kid told people, and last I heard, drama teacher was headed to prison and lost his GF and perfect life, which I guess was to be expected. But it really threw everyone for a loop as he was just the last guy you'd have expected to be linked with that kind of story. A student made a porn video mentioning our school. We had to rename our school after that. Back in middle school, word got around that there was a girl who was literally selling 6. A 7th grader was selling 6 for I think $10.20. I had heard the rumor and it was later confirmed by her when she told me she had gotten the STD.